If I made the statement that all the evidence the state is claiming to have against Brian Kohlberger is absolute nonsense and nothing more than a simple accusation, what would your reply be to that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And if an open conversation is something you prefer, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the point, so let's talk about it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Now, more specifically, what did I mean by that? Now, Ruth and Orana 8206 raises a valid question that we get a lot on this channel, and a lot of people get them on other channels, and I'll post it for you right here. Essentially asking, what evidence do they have to prove Brian Kohlberger committed this crime? What hard evidence do they have? Do they have video camera footage of him driving the vehicle? Do they have an image of his license plate? We know that there was something like 50 terabytes of data sent from the prosecution to the defense, and there's been all kinds of anonymous source leaks, and you take that with a grain of salt, about Dickie's uniform, where he purchased the weapon. He has IDs of one of the victims, even though all it said was an ID was found. We've had a wide range of things that the state is claiming to have against Brian Kohlberger. But my question once again is, how is any of this a fact? When you look at the terminology of a fact, would you not think that a fact is something that is already proven? 2 + 2 = 4. Rocks are hard. Simple things like that. But when you talk about a court of law, the prosecution is simply making accusations, and nothing is proven factual until a jury decides on it. And I understand some of y'all are seeing it differently, and if you do, you can let me know down in the comments below. But take DNA for example. It was at one point in time to be considered as vital to proving an individual committed a crime as it would be if they found the weapon itself. But we know now that in terms of DNA, touch DNA is probably at the very bottom tier of DNA that you can find. They would prefer some type of bodily fluid or hair follicle or something along those lines. And if they had that at the crime scene, that isn't something that we're aware of. But when the state does get up in front of a jury and they raise these accusations and they say, well, we have this picture, or we have this cell phone message, or we have this particular piece of evidence, they are at that point making accusations. The defense comes up and refutes all that or offers an alternative, and the jury decides what is factual and what isn't factual. Would it not seem that the way things are going right now, everybody is just blanket believing whatever the authorities have said in this case without questioning anything? It does seem a little ridiculous to me. Now, does the state have things that they are saying prove Brian Kohlberger committed this act? For those of us who have doubts or are raising questions, and even those individuals who believe he is 100% innocent, we can all sort of agree to some point or another that yes, he is suspicious. They have things placing him there in the area. None of us who are raising these questions are refuting that. A sheath was found in the home, and the state is saying that that is his DNA on the sheath. None of us are saying that that DNA is complete bogus. Now, there are things that can happen with DNA, and there are a lot of questions raised with DNA, especially that little bit found in a scene where you would think a whole lot would be. But everybody who is 100% sure that he committed this act needs to understand that these are just accusations at this point. It may very well be, when they go to trial, there is a scenario where the prosecution dropped the ball. And I'm not the only one who has thought at some point in time that the state wasn't quite ready for an incident like this. Kaylee's father has gotten in front of the camera many times and raised doubts into the ability of these investigators to do their job. He's hired his own investigation team. He's hired his own lawyer. And there have been plenty of experts on TV who have also raised the same concerns, saying this town isn't quite ready for something like this, as popular as it has become, and it did place a lot of pressure on the state to announce a suspect. But all these things still at the end of the day are accusations. Absolutely nothing has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt to anyone on a jury. So what does the state have saying Brian Kohlberger did this? A lot of it we don't know of. We know about the sheath. We know that they believe they found him in his vehicle in the area around the time of attack. They know that his cell phone just happened to be turned off during the time of this incident. Does that make him guilty in the court of public opinion? Absolutely not. Not even at that low a bar should that make anyone guilty. Does it make him suspicious? If you believe he's innocent or you have doubts, I understand that, but I think we can all agree that there is some suspicion here. If you see any of this differently, you can let me know down in the comments below. But I thought that that was an excellent commenter by Miss Ruth, and it is a valid point. A lot of us who have raised questions and raised doubt haven't necessarily got on here and acknowledged that there are things that make him suspicious. But we still at this point can't say he is guilty, because everything that is even leaked through an anonymous source is simply an accusation. None of this is factual until a jury votes on it. None of this is factual until a jury decides innocent or guilty. And would y'all not think that that's a concept we as a whole in this country have sort of forgot at this point? But it is an interesting subject in terms of what they have versus what they don't have and what will be proven factual in a court of law. That was a fantastic comment, and I'm really curious to hear what all y'all have to say about it. But other than that, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. Y'all stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.